Earlier this week, I got to watch one of my favorite movies. It's called The Freedom Writers. It's based on a true story about Erin Gruel, who was a high school English teacher in East Los Angeles. She was assigned a group of students that really no one else wanted to be assigned to. Um, they came from broken homes, poverty stricken neighborhoods, projects, gang violence, and everything else that you could imagine that went with it. And something inside of Erin Gruel clicked when she met these students. She realized that she really didn't know the life that they were living, but she also didn't judge them by the life that they lived. She looked at them from a different point of view, and she decided that her mission in life was to make these children into or help them become the children they were really born to be and not what everyone thought they would statistically turn out to be. And at some point in the movie, and I don't know if this is a true line, but her father turns to her and he says, "You have been blessed with a burden." I thought to myself, what a weird thing to say to somebody. Who wants to be blessed with a burden? Well, today we have been talking about bearing one another's burdens and what that feels like to bear someone else's burden. Um, how do we know that we're supposed to bear this burden? How do we know that this burden is from God? How do we know that we're not carrying a load that wasn't designed for us? And first of all, we have to be in touch with the Holy Spirit to know that. There's no way we're going to bear somebody else's burden and do it on our own strength. That's not a blessed burden. And if you really want to look at, there are a few stories in the Bible that will show you exactly what that looks like. One of my favorites is Nehemiah. Nehemiah was burdened and overwhelmed with the status of his city, and he prayed about it. He cried about it. He longed to do something about it. And he made it his mission to rebuild the walls. He was blessed with the burden of rebuilding the walls of his city, of his hometown, and God had given him that blessing. Aaron Gruel had been given the blessing of looking at people who had been written off because of the homes and the poverty and their social status, and perhaps even their skin color and their racial background. Her goal was to look at them with the potential that she saw in them. I don't know what burdens you are carrying right now, but I do know as a church, we are to bear one another's burdens. That means that you might be carrying something that someone else can help you with. And it also means that you can help someone with their load. One of the things that I love to do is to look at people and figure out what makes them tick. What makes them get up in the morning to live for God? What makes them want to do God's work? So I think the burden I've been blessed with is to look at people and to help them reach their highest potential. If I see somebody who has the gift of teaching, I like to give them opportunities to teach. If I see someone who has the ability to write, I like to give them the opportunity to write. If I see someone who is blessed with the gifting of speaking, I like to give them the opportunity to speak. I think that that's part of my blessed bearing. I want to shout out to my English teacher from years ago. Her name is Miss Earhart, and she lives in Arizona now. I actually still know where she lives because she decided when she looked at me and other teachers saw me, they thought I struggled in school and I didn't do well. And she said, "I think you have the potential to be a really good writer." No one had ever told me that before. Then I read a couple books that I really liked, and I started liking like stories that nobody else liked, like Tale of Two Cities, Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Great Expectations. Stories that people read that were just like, "Are you crazy? Why are you reading that?" I read them and it inspired me. Miss Earhart inspired me. She took it upon herself to not look at me by my grades that were not that great at the time. And let me tell you, what she put into me was a longing and a desire to see the potential in others. We have to bear each other's burdens. I don't know what your that you're carrying is, but I do know that there is someone that God has placed in your path that you can help bear their burden. Pray about it. Ask for leading of the Holy Spirit to direct you to know exactly how you can help someone. And by the way, Mrs. Gruel's class ended up being one of the first classes that graduated a great percentage of the number of the students. Some of those students went on to go to college, and she is still teaching. She's speaking more now. I believe she's actually retired. But the point is that she found what her blessed burden was. It is my prayer for you that you would do the same. Be blessed. And great to see you back in church whenever that time comes for you to return. Thank you and have a blessed day.